Mailbag time here on the Cleveland Browns Report. Matthew Peterson answering questions from our live show, which airs Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern as Dane Cook, pay-per-view, 20 minutes. Let's go. When will the Browns extend Kevin Stefanski? Listen, when it comes to the extend Kevin Stefanski bit, I think Kevin Stefanski is doing an incredible job. I am all for extending Kevin Stefanski. I don't think it happens mid-season because Kevin Stefanski, I don't believe, is going to be a free agent after this year. So it's not like Grant Delpit, who might have gotten more money from elsewhere. You're not at risk of losing Stefanski if you don't extend him now. So let the rest of the season play out. Coaches can be a little bit prisoner of the moment when it comes to your attitude towards them. So let's let the last 3 games and then the playoffs play out and then go extend him once you know how the rest of the year ends. But I don't want to extend him right now, have the Browns, God forbid, lose their next 3 games, miss the playoffs, something tragic like that, and we're all sitting here going, I can't believe we just cursed and just jinxed the shit out of this. But Kevin Stefanski, I'm not going to argue for extending because I think it speaks for himself. The guy has, a second 9-win season, 9+ win season. No one's done that since the 80s with Schottenheimer. It's been decades. Kevin Stefanski with 4 different starting quarterbacks, so many injuries, 2 UDFA safeties starting, 2 4th and 5th string tackles starting, and he's not phased. All he does is just win this year. He just game plans the hell out of the other opponent, and he puts his team in a position to be successful. So I'm all for extending Kevin Stefanski. Also, you don't need to rush to pay him because his salary does not count against the salary cap. So if they extend him, it doesn't work out. Well, if you fire him, sure, you got to pay him out, but it's not my money. It's Jimmy's money and D's money. And unless they're afraid to fire him prematurely because they don't want to pay him out, then ultimately his salary does not impact us whatsoever. But let me know if you think the Browns should extend Kevin Stefanski. I'm not going to spend the rest of this video arguing with the people that still think Stefanski's a bad coach. Just admit it. You'd rather the Browns fail so you can be right, rather than the Browns and Stefanski be successful and you're wrong about your opinion. That's all I have to say. Joshua Miller. Joe Flacco is tied with Tom Brady for most road wins in the playoffs. I know it's been rough on the road, but have faith in Flacco getting a road win. My first thought from this is Tom Brady did not play a lot of road games. It's just a testament to how great he was in New England to always have the playoffs go through Foxborough. But Joe Flacco, if people think he's about to come crashing down to earth, knock on wood that he's not, but he's also about to hit his apex, which is playoff football, when he plays his best ball of his NFL career. So, yes, the Browns defense has been Jekyll and Hyde at home compared to on the road, but hopefully Flacco can be the difference maker if the Browns defense slacks a little bit on the road. Joshua Miller with another super chat, thinking about a Flacco jersey just because. That's actually a pretty good segue. Name the most random Browns jersey you have in your closet, because having a Joe Flacco jersey in the Muni lot in a couple of years, I want a picture with that guy. Cool guy called Zone. Browns win the rest of their games to go 12-5, and the Ravens lose the rest to go 11-6, and we get the AFC North title and maybe the 1 seed. It is possible. I think the Ravens are playing just too good a football to lose 3 in a row. They've got the Niners, the Dolphins, and the Steelers. I could see them maybe going 1-2 in that stretch. But if they go 1-2, the Browns have to win out. And for the Ravens to go 1-2 and the Browns to go 3-0 with 2 road games there, I hate to be the rain cloud. I don't think that's uber realistic. I'm just being honest with you guys. I want it to happen. I do. I just don't actually believe deep down that's going to happen. Raging Bull, bring Trace in for the playoffs. Raging Bull is producer Trace's burner, who is here today. So, yeah, if we get some playoff football here, we'll try and get Trace behind the 1s and 2s. Lil Beam, how much would it cost to bring back Za'Darius Smith for 2024? Let me look at what Jadeveon Clowney signed for the Ravens, because my guess is that's going to be about what it costs to get Za'Darius Smith back, because those 2 players are having similar, Za'Darius Smith this year is better than what Clowney was last year, and Jadeveon Clowney signed a 1-year, $2.5 million contract. Both similar in age, so similar injury-ish history. I don't think it'll cost you all that much to get Za'Darius Smith back, and I would actually like to have Za'Darius Smith come back. I know the sacks haven't been there this year, But sacks are probably a stat that fans just look at too much when deciding if a player has been good or bad. Quarterback pressures are really important as well, right? QB pressures is kind of like the OPS of baseball. Sure, people look for batting average, they look for sacks, but if Za'Darius Smith is back there forcing incomplete passes or forcing bad decisions from the quarterback because he's getting pressured, well, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10, those are just as good to me as sometimes being a sack as well. Tim Green, next one up. Kevin Stefanski, Coach of the Year. How about number 15 for Comeback Player of the Year? Man, Joe Flacco for Comeback Player of the Year. I just fear that he hasn't played enough to get attention for that, but maybe if he came in earlier this year, I could see that happening. I do think Kevin Stefanski should and maybe will get Coach of the Year. Comeback Player of the Year, it's probably going to be Damar Hamlin. It's just going to be too political not to give it to him, but if we're keeping it real, he hasn't actually played a whole lot of football this year. He's been a healthy scratch. So I don't think that Damar Hamlin is, I'll say the unpopular thing, uber deserving for Comeback Player of the Year for his performance on the field, for his incredible comeback story. Yes, of course. But we're talking about actual, on the field bounce back to the way you played last year. No, I don't think Damar would check that box for me. So we'll see what it comes down to. My money is probably on Damar, but I think there are some other players who really struggled last year on the field and have been really good this year, kind of like Geno Smith with the Seahawks last year. Before we get on to the rest of our show, I do want to highlight our terrific sponsor, which is Game Time. You guys should not have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. So let's say you want to catch an upcoming Browns game, say the Browns-Jets game. Right? There's nothing better than when all the guys are together and all the girls and all that, and they're planning a trip, and then they look at ticket prices and they're like, well, that's a downer because that's going to cost me an arm and a leg. Well, Game Time is the place to find last-minute seats. Download the Game Time app and then redeem the code BROWNSCHAT for $20 off. I look at it as Game Time is taking care of your parking, taking care of your run to the concession stand with that $20 off. Terms apply. Create an account. Redeem code BROWNSCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. Miami Mac, next one on the show. Do you think we can win out and the Ravens drop an AFC game or two so we can win the division? Again, we can look at the remaining schedule for Browns-Ravens. Cleveland has to win out to get to 12 wins. If the Ravens win 2 games, they get to 13. It's done. If the Ravens win no games, the Browns will leapfrog them. If the Ravens lose 2 games and we have a 2-way tie at 12-5, it might come down to where the Ravens lost when it comes to AFC. But I think that there is a chance. I ultimately don't believe that both things can happen or will happen. I believe the Browns can win out. I'm not sure if the Browns are going to win out in the same universe that the Ravens drop 2 of their next 3. Tough games against the 49ers and the Dolphins. They very well could lose one of those games and then lose to the Steelers. Agreed. I'm not saying it's impossible the Ravens lose out. It's just one of those things where when you get the and in there and not the or, it makes it feel like it's just too big of a reach. Captain Presto, what's going on, my man? Do you think Joe Flacco returns to the Browns next year, or does he retire after a nice playoff run? Flacco has said he wants to continue playing. I'm not quite sure if he'll come back to the Browns to back up Deshaun Watson. I'll say that again, to back up Deshaun Watson. If Joe Flacco wins the Super Bowl, the Browns are going to have the best problem in the world, and that is who to start at quarterback after winning a Super Bowl, kind of like Ohio State nearly 10 years ago. But for now, let's just say, for argument's sake, that Joe Flacco does not win the Super Bowl for the Browns. I think he'll want to take this 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game body of evidence here and use it for tape to get a starting gig elsewhere next year and not come back to be the backup in Cleveland. Plus, I think the Browns are going to want to bring back DTR as the backup because it's not like Dorian Thompson-Robinson was abysmal when he started. He got better by the start. He got injured. Flacco got hot, and they kept it the hot hand. But I think Flacco will play football in 2024. Not super confident that's going to be in Cleveland, though. Skadoosh. Will Chubb be the same after recovering from his injury? I'm never going to bet against Batman. The guy's a physical freak. He just deadlifts and squats 1,000 pounds like it's nothing. But at his age, with the amount of injuries he sustained and it being the same knee, it does make me queasy. I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, fingers crossed that he does come back and he plays very well on the last year of his contract, and maybe we even re-sign him or something. But if I'm keeping it a buck with you, like, I don't want to bet against Nick Chubb, but I don't know if we're going to get that guy who averaged over 5 yards a pop. Lil Bean, what's going on, dude? PD, I definitely think the 49ers will go to the Super Bowl, but it could be any AFC team, including Cleveland. I know that I'm right now being like, not the fun guy in the locker room saying the Browns are going to the Super Bowl. It's a lock. Believe me. I have been riding the Browns hype train for a long time now. I do try to be honest when it comes to future predictions, because if I just say the Browns are going to win every single week and they're going to the Super Bowl every single year, sure, that's fun in the moment, but after a while it gets a little bit old, and ultimately I sort of lose my trust with the audience that I know what I'm talking about. So I do believe that the AFC, let's just look at the AFC playoff picture for a moment, Trace, to wrap up today's show. The 49ers, I think, are going to win the NFC. They are the best team in the NFC, but the Ravens have shown weaknesses this year. The Dolphins have struggled against above 500 opponents. The Chiefs are stumbling. The Jags are stumbling. They're injured. The Browns are hot, but can they power through all these injuries? Not going to happen with the Bengals or the Colts. Like, you can make legit cases for more than 2 or 3 of these AFC opponents. So, yes, the Browns definitely could ride this high all the way to Las Vegas.